So guys, in April, I only received 7 different payments, which is definitely on the lighter side, but each one really packed a punch and came from some of the highest yielding stocks in my portfolio, like Vichy Properties, Main Street Capital Corporation, and Altria Group. And in this video, we're going to go through each of those payments and add them all up to reveal my dividend income for the month, as well as my total income received so far in 2025. But before we get to those, I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment below and let me know what were some of your highest dividend payments this month and which stocks did they come from. I'd be curious to hear if we have any of the same ones. Anyway, my friends, getting into it, the first dividend payment I received this month came from one of my favorite companies, definitely one of my favorite REITs. This is Vichy Properties, who pay me a whopping $62.71 for the month. And Vichy has actually had a killer year so far, guys. If we take a look at the share price performance over here on Snapstock, not a lot of action in the last month. The stock is down about 1.2%, but if we zoom out looking at the year-to-date performance, Vichy is crushing it and has seen a gain of about 10.5%. Now with that, if we jump over here to my dividend portfolio tracking spreadsheet, which you can start using for free, there is a link to download this spreadsheet in the description of the video. But here we'll take a quick look at my Vichy position. And as we can see, I have 145 shares at an average cost per share that I think is very sweet, $28.50. And the current share price right now is quite a bit above my average cost to the tune of about, well, almost $4 actually. And if we scroll over looking at the returns, this is going to leave me up about 12.7% just looking at the share price, and including dividends on a total return basis, I'm up 16.4%. And I'll tell you what, it is so bittersweet to see this position doing well, because on one hand, you know, I'm happy to see it doing well. I'm happy to be making money with this position. But then again, on the other hand, I would love to buy some more Vichy Properties, and the higher the share price goes, the less I want to buy it. And with that said, if Vichy sees any sort of pullback, you know, if we see it get close to around $30 per share, which it was not too long ago with all this craziness going on, we did see it briefly around that mark, but if we see it go back down, I will definitely be swooping up some more shares. But anyway, guys, moving on to the second dividend payment I received. This one came from one of the other real estate investment trusts in my portfolio. This one is KRC, who also delivered a really nice payment for $41.58, which is going to put me over the $100 mark for the month already. Only 2 payments in, and so far we're at $104.29. And as opposed to Vichy Properties, KRC is just having a terrible year. Looking at the share price returns in the last month, it's pretty similar to what we saw with Vichy, down about 1.2, 1.3%. But if we zoom out looking at the year to date, where Vichy was up 10% so far in 2025, KRC is down a whopping 20%. And as I'm sure you can imagine, that's going to leave my KRC position down in the red by quite a bit, guys. Looking at the breakdown, I have 77 shares at an average cost of $37.47. So right now the current share price is about $5 below my average cost per share, which is going to leave me down about 13.2% just looking at the share price. But those dividends just barely bring me back to break even. I'm up 0.04%, or $1.17 if we include dividends in that total return calculation. And then moving on, guys, so far all of the dividend payments I've received in April came from the real estate investment trusts I own. This third one was from Realty Income, who paid me $29.20, bringing our total so far for the month to $133.50. And Realty Income's had a pretty decent year. I mean, really nothing too crazy to report. Like the last 2 companies, it's down, between 1.2, 1.3% in the last 30 days. So all very similar there for the REITs. And if we zoom out looking at the year-to-date performance, Realty Income's still up quite a bit. It's still up 7.35%, which is, actually not too shabby. And then if we take a look at my Realty Income position, I have almost 109 shares at an average cost of $53.56. And I was really hoping that we would see the share price get below $50 per share. Going back over here to Snapstock, it wasn't that long ago, earlier this month, that we did see it get pretty close. It looks like the share price got as low as about $52 per share, which is still below my cost basis, below my average cost per share. But alas, guys, it has seen a rebound, now sitting at $57.20, which is going to leave me up 6.8% just looking at the share price. And including dividends, this is still going to leave me up about 20% with Realty Income. Anyway, guys, now moving on to dividend payment number 4. This one came from another monthly payer in my portfolio like Realty Income. We have Main Street Capital Corporation, who pay me $14.99 $2.07 in April, bringing the total so far to $147.57. And Main Street has seen a pretty decent pullback so far this year. If we look at the share price performance, in the last month it's seen a bit of a dip. It's down about 3%, and it looks like very briefly it got below $50 per share at $48.65. Looks like it's the lowest we saw it here earlier in April, and as we can tell, it's since rebounded from there. But if we zoom out looking at the year-to-date performance, it's still down quite a bit. It's still down almost 9% here in 2025. With that though, my position is still looking to be in pretty good shape. I have 56.25 shares at an average cost still just barely above $40 per share. So the current share price is quite a bit above that, guys, which is going to leave me up 33.4%. Just looking at the share price and including dividends, we're up a lot. We're up almost 60% if we include dividends there. And then with that Main Street payment behind us, guys, that's going to bring us to payment number 5 for the month, which came from the other business development company in my portfolio. This is Blue Owl Capital Corporation, who delivered a very solid payment, $44.55, which is going to leave us with $192.12 so far for the month. And it looks like Blue Owl is faring a bit better than Main Street so far this year. If we look at the share price performance in the last month, it is down about 2%, which is slightly better than what we saw with Main Street. But if we zoom out looking at the year-to-date performance, it's also seeing a little bit of an edge here. It's only down about 5.8%, so nothing crazy there. And looking at my position, I have 130.4 shares at an average cost of $13.45. And going back to the share price performance for just a moment, earlier this month, Blue Owl saw a crazy drop, getting as low as about $12.50, which was quite a bit below my average cost per share. And that was an opportunity I definitely took advantage of, guys. For the first time in a long time with that drop, I ended up buying some shares of Blue Owl. And you guys might remember because I talked about it in some of my other videos from earlier this month, but I ended up picking up about 14 shares in total in the month of April. So I was happy to do that, which brought my average cost down just a little bit, not by much. I think it was maybe like $13.50 before buying those 14 shares, but the share price definitely rebounded. It's now about $1 above my average cost, which is going to leave me up 6.5%. Just looking at the share price, and then the dividends really give you a nice boost with this position. So I'm up 41% on a total return basis, and like I said, those dividends definitely help, which is no surprise considering how high the yield is. This is actually the highest yielding stock in my portfolio with a 10.3% starting yield right now. But then, guys, now moving on to dividend payment number 6. This one came from the fourth and final real estate investment trust that I own. This one is WP Carey, who paid me $33.91, another very solid payment, and that's officially going to put us over the $200 mark for the month. That's going to leave us with a total so far of $226.03. And believe it or not, WP Carey is actually having a pretty solid year. It doesn't look like it in the last month, where it's down about 5.5%, but if we zoom out looking at the year-to-date performance, the stock is still up 10.2%. And that'll leave my position in, pretty decent shape. I have about 38 shares. It's not a huge position of mine, and my average cost per share is still about $5 above the current share price. So I am seeing a bit of a loss. It could be worse, but I'm down about 8% looking at the share price, and those dividends bring me back into the green, and I'm actually up 8.5% on a total return basis. And now, my friends, this is going to bring us to the 7th and final payment of the day, which came from Altria Group, and actually should say it's coming from Altria Group. I'm recording this video on April 28th. This payment will be coming on the 30th, and I'll be getting $57.29. And out of all the stocks that we've looked at so far today, Altria is the top performer. In the last month, it is down a little bit. It's down 2.75%, but if we zoom out looking at the year-to-date performance, it's still up 11.3% here in 2025. So it's been a great year for Altria. And if we look at my position, that's going to leave me sitting in really good shape. I have 56.2 shares of Altria at an average cost of $42.63. So the current share price is, what is that, about $16 above my average cost, which is going to leave me up 36.25%. Just looking at the share price, and we're almost doubling that, including dividends. On a total return basis, I'm up 69.04%. And guys, with that final payment from Altria Group, that is going to bring my total dividend income for the month to $283.32. Another very, very solid month in the books. And this month's income is about a 27% increase compared to this time last year. In April 2024, I brought in $223.17, so that was a very nice year-over-year gain. And real quick, guys, I just want to take a moment and zoom out and look at this entire chart. We can see that this dividend income has continued to go steadily up and to the right over time, which is very easy to do, and in my opinion is pretty much all but guaranteed if you can do two very simple things. The first of which is just continuing to consistently invest in your portfolio week after week, month after month, continuing to buy more shares of these dividend paying stocks stocks. And also number 2, just reinvesting your dividends, taking that cash flow that you're generating, putting it back into your portfolio to go and buy more shares. If you can do those 2 very simple things, guys, and just stay patient in the process, because I know it's not always fast, it's not always easy, and being patient truly is the hardest part. But if you can do those things, your monthly dividend income chart is pretty much guaranteed to look exactly like this. And that's really all it takes. But anyway, enough of a tangent, guys. If we zoom out looking at the annual dividend income so far here in 2025, I've brought in $1,118.07. So we've officially crossed the $1,000 mark for the year, guys. And the year-to-date total so far is actually a 29% increase compared to last year's year-to-date income. For the first 4 months of 2024, I only brought in $866.57. So this was a huge improvement year over year. And real quick, guys, here's a recap of all of this month's dividend payments with the same payments from this time last year. And for the most part, it was pretty tame. Most of the year over year increases were in the low to mid single digits, with the exception of realty income, which was up about 13.5% year over year. And also Vichy Properties, where this time last year I didn't bring in any dividend income, and obviously this month I brought in over $60. So that had a really big impact on the year over year gain we saw from this month's income. But anyway, guys, that's what went down in April. And now with that behind us, I want to switch gears and show you which companies are going to be paying me in this upcoming month here in May. And to do this, guys, we are going to be using the dividend calendar tool over here on Snowball Analytics, which outside of my free portfolio tracking spreadsheet, this is hands down my favorite portfolio tracker. And if you're looking for something with more bells and whistles and more features and functionality than your standard spreadsheet, then look no further than Snowball Analytics. It's going to have everything you need and more. And if you guys want to try this out for yourself, there's a link to it in the description of the video and in the pinned comment where you can try it out with a 14-day free trial. And I highly recommend you do so. I think you guys are really going to like this platform. But anyway, guys, if we scroll down here looking at the dividend payments coming in for the month of May, it looks like we're going to kick things off with a solid payment from Lowe's, $18.85. And then a week later on May 14th, we'll have a killer payment coming in from Enterprise Products Partners. It looks like just over $60 for that one. And then it looks like we've got 4 different payments coming in on the 15th. The next day here, we've got Procter & Gamble for almost $30, Realty Income for about the same, AbbVie for $16.50, and Main Street Capital Corporation for just over $14. So this is going to be a very solid day of dividends. And then 9 days later, we're going to get another one coming in from Williams-Sonoma for almost $24. And then we'll close out the month on May 30th with a near $48 dividend payment from Starbucks, which when we combine all 8 of these payments, guys, that's going to bring us to a total of about $240 in dividends for the month of May. So May is shaping up to be another very solid month of dividend income, guys. I am so stoked for it. And with that said, if you want to see my entire dividend stock portfolio, then check out this next video right over here. In this one, I'm taking you completely under the hood and showing you every single holding in my 2 accounts, my main taxable brokerage account and my Roth IRA. So click right over here to get the full reveal, and I'll see you in the next one.